Welcome to Manga Mavericks at Movies, the show where we talk smack about movies. That's the catchphrase that we've been rolling with for God knows how many episodes now. I feel that we've been stranded, locked in place, waiting for rescue from this catchphrase that we have no recluse from.
So, the catchphrase is like a curse or something?
Let's say we're on the battlefield, right? The battlefield. We're fighting the war for great podcasting, and the catchphrase is like the bullet. Well, no, it's like the ship. The ship that will let us set sail to great stardom. But because it is such a weak catchphrase, the ship sinks. The whole podcast is sinking down into the sea. So we keep having to wash ashore on the beach and wait until we get the inspiration for a better catchphrase that will let us set sail out to sea and back home to the land of great podcasts that achieve widespread popularity and critical acclaim.
Okay.
That's my terrible analogy to tie this into Dunkirk, the movie we just watched. The movie that, unfortunately, we did not see in IMAX like everyone had suggested. Though, I don't know if that would have made a big difference in improving our experience based on your mixed reaction to the film, VLord.
I don't know, it's not really a mixed reaction. I enjoyed the film.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. It was a good film.
But you weren't very impressed, were you?
I don't know. I mean, it looked nice and, yeah. It just wasn't, mind-blowing or anything.
That's true. Dunkirk is the latest film from Christopher Nolan, a man known for making very stylish-looking films. Though his last film that we saw...
And Interstellar, which is shit.
Speaking of Interstellar, this movie shares the same cinematographer as Interstellar, Hoytman Hoytama.
Okay, it looks better than Interstellar at the very least.
It looks just as good as Interstellar. Interstellar might have looked better. Interstellar's problem was not that it didn't look good. Interstellar's problem was that the script was bloated.
The power of love, Sid. Let's make a movie based around science and then justify everything at the end by love.
Yes, Interstellar was a very dumb movie that was trying to pretend that it was smart, but it failed, and it made me angry.
I remember in my last year of high school, my math teacher started arguing with the kids in his class about how idiotic Interstellar was.
Was he on the side of Interstellar?
No, he didn't really care for Interstellar. Because everyone praised Interstellar for, having all this, super smart science and stuff, and he's, a PhD, both math and science. He's yeah, this one was dumb.
Yes. But Christopher Nolan and Mr. Hoytama teamed up again for Dunkirk, and they made a damn fine movie. This is much different from what we've come to expect from Nolan over the years of the Dark Knight trilogy, Interstellar, Inception. This was much more grounded. It's based on the true story, the evacuation of Dunkirk after the Battle of Dunkirk in 1940. And it is a war movie and all that entails. You're getting a big cast of characters, multiple perspectives. People are dying left and right. It is tense the entire way through, which you're wondering, will these people survive? Now, admittedly, if you know history, you know that some people did survive. But you don't know which people, because these characters are effectively fictional. So you don't know which of these fictional characters are gonna make it out alive. And that is where the strength of this movie lies. In the suspense. Will this character die? At any moment, you don't know. But that's also where the fault of this movie lies. In the characters. Because quite frankly, I can't remember a single one's name except for George's.
And George was useless.
George was very sad. He was a brave young kid who wanted to help, but unfortunately, he gets knocked out with a severe head injury.
He gets some sort of head injury from from a pilot who's suffering severe PTSD and pretty much.
Well, we don't know if he's a pilot, but it is a soldier who suffered severe PTSD.
Well, he was on a sinking.
I don't think that was a ship. That was a boat.
Was it a boat?
Yeah, that wasn't a
that
plane.
was a plane.
No, it wasn't a plane. At least it
Oh,
didn't.
okay.
Not from what I remember. They do pick up a pilot later on who is way more put together.
Yeah.
And that's one of the most intense scenes, too. Just talking about... See, what is really good about this movie is that it's great at crafting these scenes of suspense. And that is one of them. Like, this pilot crashes down into the sea, and his plane starts flooding. And he can't get out the hatch. It's like jammed. And so he's just trying to break it open, but he can't do it, and he submerges, and all this time you're wondering, oh my god, the boat with these other characters is in the distance. They're rushing towards him, trying to get to him in time. Will they make it? And when...
They make it.
Yes, they make it just in the nick of time, but the movie fools you into thinking that, oh no, they didn't make it, he's gonna die, but he survives, and that's a real fist-pumping, yeah moment, as well as the climax of the movie, when that one pilot, who's throughout the entire movie, is like a ticking time bomb. He doesn't know when he's gonna go down, because his fuel gauge, it's been cracked. He doesn't know how much fuel he has left. All of his comrades are getting knocked down left and right. He's totally alone out there. But at the end of the day, against all odds, he shakes down the enemy planes and helps secure the evacuation of everyone from the beaches. And it's a moment. And then he gets captured behind enemy lines, and that's sad. But it's still a fist pumping, go them moment. This movie isn't very nationalist if you're an American, but I bet if you're a British guy watching this movie, you're gonna go get, yeah!
And if you're a French person, you're probably gonna be offended.
No. Actually, if you're a British guy, you're going to be going, jolly good! Jolly good! And if you're French, you're gonna be going, oh.
I don't know, like, the treatment of, like, French people in this film was pretty bad.
It's pretty interesting. You don't see this, like, tension between allied forces in these war movies. Especially this kind of racism between different countries.
Which is definitely realistic, because it's there. It
totally realistic. Yeah. It's very much us versus them. We're gonna help our guys get home. And these Frenchies, whatever, who cares about them?
Like, my big problem with that, though, is that the one main French guy in this film, he gets killed.
Yeah, it's
like,
sad.
There's no message like, oh, wait, they should all be together. It's like, yeah, fuck the French guy. We don't care about him. We're just gonna drown him.
Well, everyone else dies, too, because they were against the French guy. Because none of them could work together, all of them died, except for the one guy who stood up for the French guy. But all the other guys died.
No, there was one other guy.
Wasn't he, like, left behind, then?
No. Like, you remember when they're on, like, the train? There's that one guy that's sitting in front of him.
Mm-hmm.
Who's, like, good, like, guiding kids getting the beers in the newspaper. That was the guy that he met on the ship.
And what did that guy do? That
guy wanted to kill the French guy.
Okay, yeah, so there's mixed messages there. Sorry.
At least, I'm pretty sure it was the same guy. This is another problem I have with the film, is that the ground soldiers all look the fucking same.
Yeah, quite honestly, I couldn't really tell a lot of people apart in this movie, at least the soldiers.
Yeah, like, the other characters I feel like I can identify.
At least like, the characters all, on the boat, on the civilian boat.
The characters on the civilian boat, and then even the pilots I can, like, sort of identify. But, like, the soldiers, they just look so same-faced. It doesn't help that a lot of time their, like, faces are masked by either, like, mud, oil, or just, like, dark lighting. So it's like, okay, I'm supposed to be able to tell you guys apart when you all have, like, black hair and very similar haircuts.
Well, it makes sense. That's pretty realistic. The bigger problem, I would say, is just that the soldiers don't have very distinct personalities.
That's the thing. Like, if you're gonna have them look that way, make sure they're, like, actually distinct enough personality-wise. Like,
yeah. So
that's the thing, like, I feel like you can't really identify, like, a single character's, like, whole mentality during this film, from the ground soldiers, I mean. Like,
yeah.
Even, like, the main one that we focus on, I don't even know his name.
I don't know his name, though.
Did they even give him a name?
I'm sure they did. I just don't know his name.
Yeah, like, I don't know. Like, aside from, like, wanting to help the French dude who just dies in the end, like...
Yeah.
Was there really anything? Like, I don't know.
That's true. But a lot of people are calling this Nolan's best film to date, as well as one of the greatest war films ever made, just due to its portrayal of this event.
I mean, it's very accurate, so yeah, I can see that.
Well, we don't know if it's very accurate. Maybe it's very accurate, but it's just the way it handles this kind of story.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good, solid take, though. Like, it shows the whole kind of, like, nationalist divide even between the Allies, and then it's just, like, also it's just a very, like, nationalist film. Like, it's kind of the British coming together to help each other.
Yeah. So, again, you get those fist-pumping moments. You know, from the audience that we saw it with, and we didn't bother talking about our audience experience because it wasn't really that impressive. You know, we saw this movie a month after it debuted, so there weren't a whole lot of people there. But at the end of the movie, you know, there weren't anybody going, there no applauses, no, like, fist pumps. And I think that's just because, you know, there is no American side to this. Like, for American audiences, like, we can't, like, a lot of people aren't gonna really, like, get into the British nationalism.
Honestly, I think a lot of people even are going to see the film now are just looking at, like, the Rotten Tomatoes score and thinking, oh, hey, I'm gonna like this, yeah.
Again, it's critically acclaimed.
Yeah, but I think, like, your average normie American is not gonna care for this movie, I feel.
I think they'll say, this was enjoyable. It was very well made, but it didn't grab at my heart.
Yeah, because for the average normie American, they don't really, I guess, I don't know, they don't, for these types of films that are very much, I guess, it's very clear this feels like a film for British audiences.
I don't know if it was necessarily just for them.
Not just for them, but it's very much a film that'll resonate more with the British audience.
I would probably agree with that.
So, like, your average American consumer or film goer or what have you is not gonna be thinking from that perspective.
Yeah, I mean, the heart of the movie came from the characters on the boat. Like, those were the most interesting characters and the characters we connected with the most because they had, like, the most personality, the most development of their relationships. But everyone else, like, I mean, the pilot, who was in dire straits the entire film, I also cared about him just because the situation just kept getting worse and worse. But yeah, the soldiers were easily the weakest part because they wanted to survive. Like, everyone in this movie just wants to survive. But, like, the soldiers, they look the same, and they just didn't have much.
I also feel that the soldier scenes feel like they drag on too long.
That's probably because they aren't the most interesting. Again, the characters on the boat are the most interesting. The tension of whether that guy they picked up is gonna, like, screw them over, which ultimately boils over, and then it becomes a desperation of, like, oh no, is George going to die? What's gonna happen to George? Are they gonna make it to Dunkirk and make it back to Britain okay? And, you know, so that's where the real tension is. And then also, you know, with the pilot, like, is the pilot gonna make it out okay? Because he doesn't know. He's like a ticking clock, and he doesn't know when that clock is gonna tick its last.
Like, I mean, moving away from, the ground soldiers, I guess, and going to, like, the citizens on the boat, like, George specifically, like, I think you could take him out of this film, and it kind of doesn't really change anything.
Okay, I completely disagree, because he was the heart.
I don't know, like...
He was a kid who was trying to do good. Ultimately, he might not have been able to contribute much, but his heart was in the right place.
He doesn't contribute anything, though.
He contributes the emotional center of his film. The character's relationship to George is the heart of the film.
Okay, that I like, but, like, George himself didn't do anything. He's just like... Okay, like, I get what you're saying, Sid. I get what you're saying. But, like, I feel like his death would have more impact if he actually did more.
That is fair. I think it is but his death is very realistic, and it's very tragic that, you know, he died. Yeah. He wanted to really be a hero. but he wasn't able to. But in the end, he got
in the end, he just gets whacked in the head, and then near the end of the film, they just randomly say, "Oh yeah, he's dead," and they're just like, "Okay."
But at the end, they run a tribute piece for him in the newspaper. Local boy was a hero at Dunkirk.
Except, what did he do? He wasn't there when they saved the majority of the soldiers, but he died after they saved that first person.
But he helped save the first person.
Yeah, who killed him?
Yeah, but he was still a hero because he did that. He volunteered to go on this trip.
Yeah, I don't know,
He's an example of civilians doing their best to help out.
Except those other civilians, there were far better characters.
Yeah, and they're great characters. I don't know why you're complaining about them.
No, they're good. They're the good characters. I just don't give a shit about George.
That's fine.
I don't know. If you're gonna kill off that guy, just make it later in the film he actually does something. He dies well, he gets injured within the first third of the film.
Mm-hmm.
So it's he's not there for the majority of the film. He's just kind of in a coma thing, and then we learn he's dead.
He was in so much pain, VLord.
I don't know.
He was in just as much pain as Kiritsugu, VLord.
Except Kiritsugu's a good character.
He was in just as much pain as Bruno Pucciolini.
So you keep comparing it to characters with actual development? Well, this George character has zero development.
Okay, sure. I disagree as zero development.
Okay, not zero development, very little development.
Fine. But the captain, he was cool. He was a good guy who strove to save people, even when his son is telling him, hey, that guy didn't, the pilot guy that crashed in the water, he didn't open his parachute. He's probably dead. And that guy, and, the captain is snaps and he says to his son, you know what? Maybe he's alive. Maybe I just want to help him. He's a good person who's trying his damnedest to help out. And we learn later at the end of the film that, his son fought in the world and war and died in the first 3 weeks, and that's sad. But it also explains his motivation, why he wants to help the war effort and wants to help, the Allied forces win, for the sake of his son. His son's sacrifice wasn't meaningless, but also because he sees a lot of his son in the young men fighting on the battlefield. So it's really cool character there. But I can tell you're not interested since you're looking on your phone.
No, I was checking to make sure the French guy is the one who died in the film. And yeah, it was the French guy.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. I don't know, I agree with what you said. I just don't care about George specifically.
Okay, fine. George is the new Zushi, huh?
No, Zushi's a meme. George is not gonna be a meme. He's just...
I'm gonna make it a meme. We're gonna make George a meme.
No. I don't know. I don't care.
George was an important character, VLord. George is the greatest character in cinematic history, VLord.
Okay.
I'm gonna compare
Zushi does way more than George.
I'm going to compare every character to George.
Sid, name one thing George did besides save that guy.
He died. He went blind. He was in so much pain. He's such a tragic character. One of the most tragic protagonists in movie history.
He has fucking 5 lines, Sid.
He has more than 5 lines. He had all the lines in this movie. The majority of them, they belong to him. He talked the most. He got the most character development.
No, he didn't. The fucking the father and the son talk way more. And in fact, they helped George save that guy. George didn't even do that by himself.
That's because he knew the value of friendship. He knew.
No, this is just dumb. Okay. I don't know. If part of me just thinks Nolan killed off George just for the sake of killing someone off.
I'm pretty sure this was based on some real event, actually.
Okay, in that case, just actually develop George.
Sure. But George was the best character.
He wasn't.
He's the best character in movie history.
The best character was either the pilot, who was like slowly running out of gas, or the father.
Between those two, I would go with the father. But none of them hold hand out to George. So do you think this is Christopher Nolan's best film, or one of the greatest war movies ever made, VLord?
I mean, this is the thing. I haven't seen enough war movies to say it's the greatest war movie. It was a good war movie, but I don't know, like...
Would you say it's Christopher Nolan's best movie?
Probably not.
Then what was his best movie, Interstellar?
No, that's his, like, fucking worst movie.
The Dark Knight Rises?
No. Oh, don't make me remember that movie.
Why do you hate The Dark Knight?
I don't hate The Dark Knight Rises, but it's not, like, that good.
Okay.
I don't know. I think his best movie is probably still Inception, and even then, Inception's not fantastic.
Well, the wrong answer, Warren, because the right answer was Memento. You failed.
I've never watched Memento.
Why are you so uneducated in film, Warren?
Because I'm not a film student.
Well, that needs to change. You need to, marathon all of the most important films ever. Have you watched all the important films that everyone talks about, VLord? Have you?
I don't know what films those are.
Have you seen Citizen Kane? Or Casablanca?
No, have you?
Yes?
Yeah, I haven't seen those. I have so many films that I need to see.
VLord is so uneducated in films. Why are you my co-host?
Because I'm the easiest co-host there is.
That is true. One last thing that I want to mention. I really enjoyed how there was three perspectives in this movie. From the land, from the sea, and from the air. Wasn't that cool?
By land, by sea, and by air.
And it was really cool when all those different perspectives intersected too.
Yeah, that was definitely cool. Like, I feel this film has a lot of good ideas. It doesn't execute all of them well, but when it does do it well, it's fantastic.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Yeah, I think this was a enjoyable movie, but I'm going to agree with VLord that it was not one of the better movies that I've seen in terms of eliciting an emotional reaction from me. Yeah. I don't know if I would say this is one of my favorite films of the year. It probably will not make my year-end list.
Probably, yeah, same here. Now, the film that we saw yesterday, that might.
Well, you're going to confuse the listeners, because who knows what time I'm going to release this episode, VLord.
Who knows? The dates for everything are messed up now anyway, since you released Death Note before, the 20 before it.
Yeah. I wonder if the audience will be able to piece together the rich, chronology of these podcasts. Can you determine the order we record these?
They can probably figure it out by the fact that we usually record these after we go see it in theaters.
Yeah, so but we saw this, way later than when it debuted in theaters.
That is a good point. So, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, so that's on you, audience, to figure it out. We want you to see if you can piece together the narrative of Manga Mavericks at movies.
The Mavericks at movies cinematic timeline.
Yes. We're telling the story out of order, what's a movie that tells the story out of order?
I know film series that tell the story out of order.
I mean, you have one scene in one place, and then you have another scene that's a different point of time.
I mean, like a film that does that?
Yes, a film that does that. One thing that comes to mind is Memento, but Memento is, more straightforward. It's you start at the final scene, and then you work your way back to the beginning. But,
didn't Garden of Sinners 5 do that?
Yeah. Garden of Sinners 5 Paradox Spiral. That's what Manga Mavericks that movie is. We're Garden of Sinners 5, VLord. That's how you should enjoy this podcast series, I guess.
Well, why can't Garden of Sinners be legally available in the U.S.? Fuck you and Plex.
Well, I don't know, but
Let me buy it. I'll buy it. Just let me buy it.
Now that's a movie I'd love to podcast about on this show at some point.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll be able to see it in the theaters one of these days.
Nah,
Probably not.
Aniplex USA hates our state.
They do. Why didn't you give us Kizu Monogatari, goddammit?
Yeah. Kizu Monogatari is fucking amazing. I would have paid money for it at Eplex. Let me buy it, aside from, like, fucking paying $70+ for your fucking Blu-rays.
Was Kizu Monogatari better than Dunkirk VLord?
Oh, God, yeah. Well, which one do you mean?
What do you mean? All of them?
Oh, all of them? Yeah, all of them, like, yeah. Were just fantastic. Way better than Dunkirk.
Was it better than the other animated movies that came out this summer, VLord?
It might be.
Really? Better than the Emoji Movie, VLord? Better than Cars 3, VLord?
Sid, if you compare the fight scenes from Kizu 2 and 3 to fucking Emoji Movie looks like a tiny piece of turd that I fucking fed to, I don't know, some random cat on the street, and then pissed on the cat, and then threw it at, like, I don't know, something that eats cats.
You feed cats turds and pee on them, and then throw them to the dogs who then eat them?
I don't know. I mean, I probably shouldn't
VLord
get...
is a psychopath.
I mean, I don't think I could probably do that since I'm allergic to cats, and being close to cats would probably be bad.
But that's why you do that. To get revenge on cats.
I don't hate cats, though. I like cats. I just can't be near them.
This is very suspicious. VLord GTC is a cat killer. If your cat dies, and there are strange circumstances, like shit in its belly, and pee stains on its fur, and claw and teeth marks on its skin, it's because VLord GTC killed them!
Probably not.
No,
I don't know.
It's it. You were a German, weren't you? You were one of the enemy pilots that were shooting down ships at Dunkirk.
They didn't
you were
kill
one of the
cats,
greatest.
though.
Who knows? They might have. They might have killed everyone in that city. That's why it was deserted.
Maybe the cats ran away.
Maybe.
And maybe they don't have shit in their bellies.
We need a remake of this movie with cats. And then you are...
So Cat Kirk?
That is like a nonsensical pun.
I don't know.
Obviously, it would be Duncat, Baka. Anyway, the fact that we're going off on tangents kind of shows how little we kind of were enthusiastic about this movie. Sorry, folks. It was enjoyable enough, but...
It's a good movie. Go watch it.
Go watch it.
I just don't think it's mind-blowing. For the like, score it has on a lot of, like, critic sites, I don't know.
It is really beautiful looking. Cinematography is really damn good.
Cinematography is fantastic, but the narrative, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that does it for Dunkirk. I guess now we'll talk about another movie.
Thank you, Christopher Nolan. You didn't piss me off this time.
You think he'll piss you off again in the future? What's his next movie going to be?
Interstellar Z.
Interstellar Z? What?
Stellar. Rock the Stellars. Interstellar Z.
I don't know what his next movie is going to be. He hasn't decided or hasn't been announced yet. So who knows? Who knows?
Just don't talk about the power of love when you're trying to make a scientific movie and you'll be good, Nolan. Just don't be an idiot.
Yeah. Okay, what's the next movie? We'll figure it out.
Yeah.